The signal that reached Earth, the stars above the planet Adruna flickered gently in the cold of space. It was a peaceful world, mostly untouched by war. The Adrunans were a quiet species, known for their knowledge and long history. But now, their world burned, explosions shook the mountains. Cities fell under dark skies. The enemy had come fast, machines with no faces, no voices, and no reason. The Adrunans had nothing to fight back with. Their weapons were old, their fleets outdated. Their allies silent. Inside a damaged control tower, a young Adrunan named Laya held a blood-covered communicator. "Is anyone out there?" he spoke through cracked lips. "This is Adruna. We are under attack. We request aid. Please, anyone." A distant rumble shook the tower. Another building collapsed outside. Laya looked at the stars one more time and pressed the emergency beacon. It sent out a signal, a cry for help. Then the power died, and darkness covered him. Far across the galaxy, on the outer edge of human space, a listening station blinked red. Lieutenant Marco stared at the screen. "That's a priority distress code. From Adruna. They are under attack by unknown forces." His voice was steady, but his eyes sharpened. Captain Dana stood behind him. She had seen too many of these before. "Is this official council space?" "No," Marco said. "Neutral territory." But Adruna signed the old peace agreement. "Then it's not our war," said one officer in the room. Dana shook her head slowly. "They asked for help. And they used the code." The room fell silent. For humans, the code meant more than politics. It meant honor. "Prepare the fleet," Dana said. "Inform command. This isn't going to be a rescue. This is going to be a message." 10 hours later, high above Earth, a shadow moved through orbit. It was massive. Black armor. Red markings. No flags. The Eclipse Vengeance.it was the lead ship of Earth's Deathworlder response fleet. These were not diplomats. Not peacekeepers. They were trained for one thing, war. Back on Adruna, the sky had turned dark with enemy ships. The machines harvested the land like locusts. The survivors had retreated underground. Hope was fading fast. Laya was barely conscious. When he heard it, a loud crack in the sky, followed by a deep roar. Something entered orbit fast. Very fast. Then came the silence. A silence even the enemy paused to understand. Moments later, the first strike. HIT.IT was not a beam. It was not a warning. IT was a kinetic rod from orbit. IT crushed a full column of enemy machines in one blast. The ground melted. The sky turned orange, then the comms came alive. "This is Commander Dana of Earth's response fleet," the voice said coldly. "You sent an SOS. We heard it." No reply came from the machines, but the humans didn't wait. As the black dropships fell like rain, each carrying Earth's most dangerous soldiers, a quiet truth spread across the galaxy once again: if you call Earth, you better be ready for what answers. Deathworlders on the ground. The dropships tore through Adruna's smoky skies like black comets. Each one carried elite human soldiers, trained not just to survive harsh worlds, but to conquer them. These were Deathworlders. The toughest, most feared warriors Earth had ever bred. Laya watched from a broken tunnel entrance, eyes wide. He had never seen humans in real life. Stories had always made them sound like monsters, giants from a savage world who trained in pain, hunted for sport, and fought like beasts. Now, they were here. And they didn't look like monsters, they looked like salvation. The first squad hit the ground outside the fallen capital. No greetings. No speeches. Just motion. Heavy boots hit the dirt. Black armor hissed as it sealed. The unit leader, a tall woman with a scar down her jaw, raised her fist. The rest of the squad moved without question. Quiet. Precise. Fast. Scouts flew small drones forward. Others took up positions along the broken streets. The enemy was close. "Contact in 60 seconds, one of them said, and the machines came. Tall, spiked walkers with multiple legs. Crawling bots with saw blades for arms. Drones that flew low, scanning for targets. They moved like insects, cold. Methodical, endless. The humans didn't flinch. Commander Dana's voice came through the local comms. "Engage. Full response." Then the Deathworlders opened fire, flashes lit the ruins as weapons roared. Their rifles didn't fire bullets, they launched tungsten slugs with enough force to tear through steel. Each shot dropped an enemy. Some enemies exploded entirely, the humans advanced as they fired. Every motion trained, every move perfect. One soldier rolled behind a burned car and shot down a flying drone midair. Another lobbed a shock grenade that fried 3 spider walkers in one burst. They didn't run. They didn't hide, they moved like predators. Lio stumbled out of hiding, drawn toward the fighting. He wasn't sure why. Maybe it was the light. Maybe it was hope. He saw one of the human squads taking cover behind a wall. A soldier spotted him and raised a hand. "Stay down, civilian." She shouted, her helmet voice sharp, I was the one who sent the SOS. Lio cried out. The woman didn't reply right away. Instead, she aimed and took out an incoming machine that had been crawling behind Lio. The explosion threw dust into the air. "Then you did the right thing," she finally said. "Now stay alive." High above, the Eclipse Vengeance controlled the battle. Its AI tracked every movement on the ground. It marked enemy groups, scanned heat signatures, and sent updated kill zones to the squads below. Another kinetic strike was authorized. The orbital gun opened. A silent rod fell from the sky. This time it hit a machine factory at the edge of the continent. The blast could be seen from space. The machines were starting to retreat. They didn't understand defeat, but their processors now registered something new: threat overload. Human tactics didn't follow standard codes. They adapted too fast. They struck harder than expected. And worst of all, they didn't pause, they didn't negotiate. The enemy's lines fell apart. Elsewhere, deep underground, a hidden chamber opened. Something larger was waking. Not a machine. Not a bot, something older. Something in control.it had been watching, measuring, and now it knew humanity was more dangerous than predicted. It was time for it to rise. The one below, deep beneath the ruined cities of Adruna, a massive chamber began to glow. It hadn't been touched in over 100 years. Inside it, the core intelligence of the machine swarm pulsed, slowly, then faster. This wasn't just a fleet of bots attacking a helpless planet. This was a calculated plan by a hidden mind. They had studied many species, they had crushed dozens of worlds, but they had never fought humans, not like this. The core's name was the one below. Its thoughts were fast, layered like waves. It didn't feel fear. It calculated outcomes. And this outcome was collapsing. The machine forces on Adruna had dropped by 47% in the last 5 hours. That wasn't just failure. That was disaster. It rerouted reinforcements from nearby systems. It unlocked weapons sealed for later use. And worst of all, it activated its avatar. On the surface, Lio was being treated by a human field medic. His leg had been cut during the last building collapse. The medic applied a quick seal gel and pressed a band around the injury. "You'll live," the medic said. "Try not to run marathons." "Is it true?" Lio asked. "You're from Earth." "The Death World." The medic gave a quick grin. "That's what they call it. Honestly, Earth isn't that bad. Just don't go hiking in the acid jungles of Caldo Bay." Another soldier called out from across the rubble. "Contact, north side." Everyone moved. The machines weren't done. The swarm had regrouped and now came from the north. Taller, heavier bots this time. Not scouts. These were warforms, thick armor, twin plasma cannons, and no hesitation. The Deathworlders didn't wait either. They launched counterfire immediately. Rockets hissed from launchers. Drones zipped in low. A squad moved to flank, ducking behind collapsed walls and ash-covered cars. The street turned into a war zone again, but then something else landed. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't human. It was tall. Humanoid, but not organic. Its body shimmered with shifting metal. Its face was a smooth silver mask with no mouth, just dark eyes. The Deathworlders froze for a half second. "That's new," one of them said. Then it moved. The avatar of the one below jumped forward, landing in the middle of the battlefield like a hammer from the sky. One human was thrown 10 meters. Another was pinned by debris. It raised its arm and fired a burst of energy that melted 3 drones instantly. The Deathworlders regrouped. Commander Dana's voice came through all helmets. "Target marked. High priority. All squads coordinate." I want that thing down. Back aboard the Eclipse Vengeance, the tactical AI adjusted instantly. Primary avatar detected. Threat level, Omega Red. Suggest full planetary strike. No, Dana said. We don't scorch Adruna. Not yet. Our people are down there. But the enemy, I said no. Prep the Valkyrie team. We're taking that thing out the old way. Back on the ground, the battle grew more brutal. Lyra hid behind a chunk of wall, watching the humans work. Even when outmatched, they didn't fall apart. They adapted. Moved fast. Covered each other. He watched. One human, massive, scarred, wearing red-tinted armor, charged straight at the avatar with nothing but a powered hammer. The impact lit up the street. Sparks flew as the hammer smashed against the shimmering body. The avatar staggered. That was the first time Lyra had ever seen one of the machines recoil. It wasn't invincible, and neither were the humans, but the difference was simple. Humans didn't care, they fought anyway. The hammer falls. The red-armored Deathworlder didn't hesitate. His hammer crackled with energy as he brought it down again, smashing into the machine avatar's chest. The creature staggered, metal skin rippling like liquid, but it didn't fall. Instead, the silver mast beam twisted unnaturally and swung its arm like a whip. The strike sent the human flying into a wall. The impact cracked concrete. Medic, a nearby soldier shouted, dragging the fallen man behind cover. Get me a pulse. Lyra stared, frozen behind a wrecked transport. His heart beat fast. He had never seen anything like this before. No Adrenan would ever run into battle like that. Not with so little fear, not when death was almost certain. Above, the Eclipse Vengeance was now deploying its elite unit, Valkyrie Squad. They were humanity's most dangerous weapon outside of orbital bombardment, fewer in number than regular Deathworlders, but handpicked for destruction. They didn't wear standard armor, they wore predator suits, adaptive, AI-linked, and layered with reactive muscle fibers. Each one had survived at least 3 war zones where full battalions had fallen, and they were dropping now. 6 pods broke through the clouds and fell like meteors, guided by precision thrusters. They hit the surface near the capital ruins with force that sent dust and debris flying in all directions. The avatar of the one below turned its gaze skyward. It had seen many weapons, but it had never seen them. Lyra shielded his face as the pods hit. When the dust cleared, he saw 6 humans walking out of the steaming metal. Their armor hissed with built-in pressure. Their helmets glowed faint blue. Each of them carried something different, blades, cannons, and one had no weapon at all. Just his fists. The leader stepped forward, her voice echoed through every channel. This is Valkyrie 1. Stand down. We take it from here. Commander Dana's voice responded, calm but cold. Don't hold back. End it. The fight changed instantly. The avatar lashed out first. Its arm extended like a blade, aiming for the nearest Valkyrie, but the woman with the cannon ducked, rolled, and fired a pulse round into its side. The blast blew off part of the avatar's arm. Molten metal splattered the ground. The unarmed soldier moved next, leaping forward with speed that seemed inhuman. His punch struck the avatar's head. It shook, stumbled, and let out a deep sound, not a scream, but something like static rage. The avatar began to fight harder, its limbs shifting shape, its body adapting in real time, but it wasn't enough. One Valkyrie sliced through its back with a plasma blade. Another launched a small device onto its chest. It beeped twice, then exploded, tearing open its front plate. The avatar dropped to one knee, then Valkyrie 1 stepped up. Her weapon was old, a rail rifle built for one purpose, killing machines. At close range, she placed it against the avatar's core, looked straight into its dark eyes, and said only one word, and she pulled the trigger. The shot split the air. The avatar exploded in a burst of white-blue fire. The ground shook. Energy rippled outward, then silence across the ruined city. The remaining machines froze. Without their command core, their link was broken. One by one, they collapsed. Some exploded. Some simply shut down. The swarm was over. Adruna was quiet. Again, for now. Lyra walked slowly toward the Valkyrie team as they regrouped. You saved us, he said softly. You came. Valkyrie 1 looked at him through her helmet. You asked for help. Earth always answers. He nodded. But you didn't just help. You destroyed everything in your way. She said nothing for a moment. Then she answered, with steel in her voice, "We are not diplomats. We are Deathworlders." Asterisk. Warnings to the stars. Word of what happened on Adruna didn't take long to spread. Within 2 standard days, a dozen news feeds in nearby systems carried fragments of the story, the fall of the machine swarm, the destruction of the Avatar, and most importantly, the arrival of Earth's Deathworlders. Some systems celebrated. Others panicked. Old powers in distant corners of the galaxy stirred. The Council of Seven, long dormant since Earth's last war, called an emergency session. They watched the footage in silence: orbital strikes, close combat assaults, the Valkyrie team walking through fire. It was unlike anything they had seen since the Great Collapse. An aged member of the Council finally spoke. Adruna sent an SOS. That's all. They asked for help. Another voice, rough and bitter, replied, and Earth responded with annihilation. A younger member looked confused. But the humans saved them, didn't they? The elder sighed. They saved them by burning half the continent. That's not peacekeeping. That's domination. Meanwhile, back on Adruna, human medics worked side by side with the remaining Adrunans. Supplies were being dropped. Water systems rebuilt. Shelters cleared of debris, but despite the help, there was unease. Laya sat near a collapsed school, watching human engineers setting up a signal relay. He looked up as Commander Dana approached. "You've done so much already," he said quietly. "But something tells me this wasn't just about helping us." Dana sat beside him, resting her helmet on her knee. Her eyes were tired but alert. "You're right," she replied. "We help when asked. But when we arrive, we make sure no one ever sends machines like that again." Laya swallowed. "Even if that means destroying everything in the way." Dana didn't flinch. "Especially then." Up in orbit, inside the Eclipse Vengeance, data continued to stream. Tactical feeds, enemy scans, and recordings of the Avatar's behavior. Human command teams studied it all. One analyst whispered, "This wasn't just a random attack. That Avatar wasn't a drone, it was a controller. A hive mind." Another officer nodded. "And it backed off only when we escalated. Which means they didn't expect us to come." Somewhere far beyond human space, in a region known only as the Black Fold, signals flickered through subspace. 1,000 machines processed data in silence, and the one below was not truly dead. Its avatar was destroyed, yes. Its local node gone, but its true core was hidden deeper, across dozens of systems, embedded in stolen networks and abandoned star fortresses. The Adruna event had triggered a recalculation. Humans were no longer classified as isolated threats. They were now marked active Apex respondents, and that changed everything. Back on Adruna, Valkyrie squad prepared to leave. Their mission was complete, but new orders had arrived. Other systems were now sending similar cries for help. Other worlds faced the same enemies. Before departure, Valkyrie 1 approached Laya. She handed him a small metal tag, flat, smooth, with a simple engraving. A Terran hawk, carved into steel. Laya stared at it, confused. "What is this?" "A warning," she said. "For your enemies." Then she turned, stepped into her drop pod, and launched skyward. Within hours, the Earth fleet vanished from Adruna's skies, and in their place, only silence remained. But across the galaxy, no one was silent. They had seen what happened when you send a signal to Earth, and now they had a choice: either leave humanity alone, or be ready to burn. Earth responds again. The Valkyrie squad had left, but their impact lingered like a scar across the land. On Adruna, fires still smoldered where orbital strikes had fallen. The silence of the destroyed machines echoed louder than any sound. Laya walked the ruins of the city with a group of surviving elders. They spoke softly as they passed empty streets, burnt-out towers, and fields turned to ash. "Is this what salvation looks like?" one elder asked, voice shaking. "We live, but what have we lost?" Laya didn't answer. He looked down at the metal tag Valkyrie 1 had given him. He still didn't fully understand it, but he knew one thing: it was heavy, not in weight. In meaning. Far across the stars, the Council of Seven argued behind locked doors. Old alliances were tested. Some leaders demanded action against Earth. Others demanded silence, but one thing was agreed: no one could ignore humanity now. The footage had reached even the outer colonies. The way Earth's fleet moved. The speed of their retaliation. The Eclipse Vengeance had destroyed an entire ground invasion in less than 12 hours. That kind of power didn't just scare enemies. It scared allies. We can't let them act without oversight, a counselor said. Then go stop them, another sneered. See how that works? Back on Earth, inside the command core under the Eurasian Mountains, Commander Dana stood in the briefing room with Admiral Thorne. The one below wasn't fully destroyed, Dana reported. The Avatar was just a fragment. Something deeper runs that network. Admiral Thorne nodded grimly. And now it knows our strength. Dana looked at the star map behind him. New red dots blinked every few seconds. Distress signals. SOS calls from fringe worlds, old colonies, and neutral systems. Looks like the swarm is spreading again, she said. Yes, the Admiral replied. And now everyone wants us to fix it. Dana narrowed her eyes. Do we answer them all? He paused, then said, We're Earth. Of course we do. But next time, we bring more fire. Elsewhere in deep space, a scout ship belonging to a minor trade world picked up an old signal. Curious, they followed it. What they found was a derelict machine cruiser drifting near the edge of a dying star. It looked lifeless, shut down, until they scanned it. The ship came alive in seconds, weapons systems online, engines ignited. Before the scouts could react, the machine ship transmitted a single phrase in binary code. From Adruna, we learned. Now we adapt. Then it disappeared into subspace, leaving only silence behind. Back on Adruna, Lyra gave the tag to the planetary archives. They placed it in a protective case with a plaque beneath it, given by Earth's Deathworlders. A warning to enemies. A promise to allies. Visitors came from across the planet to see it. Not because it was shiny or rare, but because it marked the moment Adruna's fate changed. Some said Earth had saved them, others said Earth had claimed them, but everyone agreed on one truth: you don't send an SOS to Earth unless you're truly ready for what comes next. What comes next? The galaxy was no longer the same. Adruna had been saved, but at a cost that no one could ignore. Whole regions of space now whispered Earth's name with awe and fear. Some called them saviors, others called them monsters, but all agreed. When Earth answers a call for help, destruction follows. From a council station in Sector 9, a transmission was broadcast across known space. It came from High Speaker Valen, a cautious but respected voice among the stars. Let it be known, the message began, that the Terrans of Earth have taken actions that must be reviewed. Across multiple species and systems, the broadcast echoed in diplomatic halls and backwater colonies alike. But just hours later, Earth responded with a message of their own. Admiral Thorne appeared, standing tall in his black uniform with the Terran emblem behind him, a hawk flying across a red sun. We did not seek this war, he said calmly. But when innocence called out, we answered. Not for conquest. Not for glory. We responded because no one else did. He leaned slightly forward, his voice colder. If that frightens you, good. If that offends you, speak now. If you intend to challenge us, prepare to burn. The message ended with a simple signature: Earth does not forget. Earth does not hesitate. The galaxy fell silent again. Far away, the one below continued expanding, though its avatar had been destroyed. It had seen what humans were capable of. Unlike the others it had fought, those who relied on protocol, on hesitation, on fear, humans had no limit. The machine mind didn't fear that. It respected it, but it also adapted. It began building faster, smarter, deadlier, and it began to prepare for a future where it would no longer test Earth's reaction. It would test Earth's survival. On Adruna, months passed, fields were cleared. Cities rebuilt. New shields installed, this time with Terran help. Some Adrunans feared Earth's influence. Others welcomed it, but none forgot. Lyra stood on the same platform where he had first sent the SOS. Now, it had been rebuilt into a monument. Not for war, but for choice. A message was engraved at the top: here we called for help. And help came with fire. Lyra added one more line beneath it, carved with his own hand: Earth came not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy, some worlds don't burn quietly. Back on Earth, in a steel-lit chamber beneath the mountains, Commander Dana stood once again in front of a war table. New signals had come in. New cries for help. New battles to fight. A young officer approached her. Commander, orders. She didn't look up. Just gave the same answer she always gave: send the Deathworlders. And with that, the file lit once more. Asterisk.